Hey guys, this is Jerry Stark and I'm here to talk about the 10 things I love about Michelangelo. Number one is the fast change between lateral and opposition. Lateral prehension is your thumb against your finger. Opposition is also called three-jaw chuck. In normal human physiologic motion, we use opposition about 50% of the time and lateral prehension about 33% of the time. So 83% of the time it's one of these two motions, but it's not just that, not just gripping, but the ability to switch between the two, and that's exactly what Michelangelo gives you. So that's really important. Number two is the speed of motion. Michelangelo moves at about 325 millimeters per second. Our physiologic hand moves at 4,000, but we can move it as we typically move it around 310. That's physiologic speed. If you look at the eye limb, it's quite a bit less. It's quite a bit less than that. So it's about 218 millimeters per second, and BBionic is about 287. The third thing is the high grip strength. So Michelangelo can deliver about 15.7 pounds a pinch in opposition and about 13.5 in lateral. If you look at physiologic grip strength, it's about 24 pounds a pinch in lateral and about 22 pounds a pinch in opposition. The BBionic and I-limb give quite a bit less. I-limb's about 3.5 pounds a pinch, and it ratchets up to about 7.5. But ours, the Michelangelo, delivers this pinch immediately. The number 4 reason to like Michelangelo is this adaptive wrist. The adaptive wrist can go from 75 degrees to 45 degrees of extension, and it can be locked in 7 different positions, including the neutral position. This is really important because the adaptive wrist means that you don't need an articulated finger. John Sensinger from University of New Brunswick showed that if you have an adaptive wrist, you don't necessarily need as much articulating fingers. And when you have one of these analog devices, the wrist is actually frozen. So this is really important. These are the top 4 things. Number 5, though, is that it gives you a lot more adaptivity and kinesthetic acceptance. So this cognitive engagement is because the thumb is moving. The thumb constitutes about 25% of our normal motion. This is more than our upper arm, our body, and our upper leg combined. So our brain is engaged in, if you're looking at the brain map, it's about 25% is dedicated just to the thumb. So this is really important as far as kinesthetic projection. Number 6 is that it really looks very natural, and this is important for the patient to accept. For a moment, some patients, the relatives of patients, often forget which hand has been amputated. They remember, but only after a time. It's because the hand looks so real, and they begin to speak with it. So crossing your arms, putting it in your pocket are really important. And another thing, too, is this adaptive use of the forefinger and the index finger. As you extend the forefinger and the index finger, you actually see how they adapt to different objects. So if we grab an object like this and close, that forefinger actually goes into extension. Number 8 is the adaptive adduction. If you look at the fingers as they close, they go into adduction just like our fingers would do, all pointing toward the scaphoid. This is important when you're reading different things, like a magazine or a book. You can hold things between those fingers, such as a toothbrush, too. And then the durability and construction. That's really important. You have this cyclotronic transmission, so it's very durable. Also have stainless steel components in the drive yoke, so that makes it very durable. If you look at the I-limb, it uses 5 different motors, and there's some inherent issues with that. Because the motors are a lot smaller, you're replacing them more often. And number 10 is Michelangelo platform. If you look at the Axon Master, there's 8 different stations, so we can have 8 different simultaneous control methods. And this is the future of digital control. Hopefully someday we'll have something like pattern recognition. So when you get in on this Michelangelo, we have 3 different controls, but someday we'll open up even more. And I said 10, but I'm going to promise you 11. That's because that's how I roll. The 11th is the platform is really easy to control when you switch between lateral and opposition. You can do this with long co-contraction, impulse, or switch. You can even have long open, and you can combine these to tailor it to your patient's needs. So number 1 is, what was it? Number 1 is That's right, the ability to switch between lateral and opposition. Number 2 was what again? That's right, it's the speed of motion, 325 millimeters per second. And number 3 was what? That's right, it's the high grip strength. So it's about 15.7 in opposition and 13.5 in lateral. And what was that 4th one? The 4th one, again, is the adaptive wrist. This is so important. So if you really remember those top 4 reasons, you had me at hello. All right? If you need any more information, just give me a call. Thank you.